So I've been playing Silent Hill Play Novel. Hey, do you like transparent blue people, badly compressed CGI bitmaps, and overwhelmingly large walls of text? Well, boy golly gee, do I have the genre for you. Audio novels were a type of, game, I guess, released pretty much exclusively in Japan. The genre rose to prominence on the PS1 because of said badly compressed CG, and later found its home on the PSP, where all manner of back alley fuck shops sold them to impressionable teenagers, luring them in with nice box art and cool titles like The Newspaper of Fear. Personally, it's curious enough of a thing for me to where I'd want to dig in proper sometime, but as stated, they never actually left Japanese shores and were also woefully overshadowed by the infinitely more exciting and interactive visual novels. Still, that didn't stop Konami from remaking the first Silent Hill as an audio novel and slapping that bitch on the Game Boy Advance of all systems where largely no one gave a shit. Still, that didn't stop Toby Normoyle from translating it and Gyromancy from porting it to PC, thus barring anything from stopping me from playing it. I'm sure you're all very excited. So yeah, it follows Silent Hill 1's story to a T. Its story, but not its plot. Harry goes off exploring the town of Silent Hill looking for his lost daughter Cheryl while there's an evil cult drastically fucking his ass, sure, but a lot of shit plays out a tad differently. Like how Harry maybe only encounters about 5 or so monsters in total, which is a massive lie, and he also doesn't run into walls nearly enough. Of course, because book, essentially, it uses descriptive writing to fill in the blanks left by the gameplay and its general lack of visuals. You see, Play Novel is slideshow, text, and music. And there's only so much you can show when doing that, so they don't really show much at all, and instead explain and detail everything in gruelingly explanatory detail. You know, like a book. You do get to make a few choices here and there, like Harry fought the monsters, or Harry ran away like a punk bitch. And it also has like a billion endings as a result. But I thought Silent Hill 1's story was already set in stone. How could they possibly add even more endings? Well, by letting you play a wholly original second Campagni starring Cop Lady Sybil. Though, as I said, the interactivity generally doesn't stray much further than letting you turn the proverbial page. Because book, basically, it uses writing to fill in the blanks. This entails them describing events while detailing horrors, but also, more interestingly, giving us a sweet piece of Harry's mind. A mind that, in the original game, wasn't really ever shown much at all. Right off the bat, he lays bare his personality, giving us details about his loner Stephen King-tier writer lifestyle and how much he loves his daughter. Whom is the entire main driving force behind the plot, mind you, so looking back at it, it's weird how you don't really know anything about her, let alone are given much of a reason to care. I guess it normally would have been down to the general sense of intrigue and high quality, and puzzles that keep up a nice pace of engagement, but from a pure plot point of view, this is certainly a very good road to go down. The fucking opening FMV even goes from this derpy-ass music video of Harry crashing his car to a high-quality dick-ripping page-turner. I mean, Action Hank over here losing control of the wheel as he hears Alessa's voice beckoning to him, describing it as a cold, out-of-body experience. It actually works really, really well. Harry crashed his car because Alessa led him to Silent Hill. Is more or less the full extent of what we got in the original. You never quite felt it, truly grasping the horror, the implications of someone hijacking your body. Freezing cold, uneasiness, almost like being ready to fall asleep. I am just barely conscious, and now, at my limit to maintain even that, oh. At times, the audio novel simply manages to convey what the game initially conveyed by just showing it. The emptiness of the town, for example, is felt while running about, but here it is described, like how Harry mentions the empty stores, or the fact that he don't hear nothing but his own reverberating footsteps. Especially Sybil gets into this shit good, describing how lost she feels despite knowing the town very well, slowly losing her sense of consciousness as the cold air fills her gasping lungs after having ran circles for fucking hours. Which, yeah, is a thing in the game too. Harry panting and strutting awkwardly were always neat touches, but seeing it written out like this puts it on a fucking level, dude. Which brings me to the other thing that this thing does well. The full-on, inside of your head, scratching your inner skull tier psychological writing accompanying most of its events. Simple, tiny little descriptors like how the walls in the other world feel, what the enemies smell like, or even the sheer anxiety of scrambling for your final ammo clip as a monster comes at you really does a lot to get you invested. Similarly, when Harry turns on the power in the school basement, he describes how the entire building is creaking like a ship and how it seems as if Cheryl's heart, her entire essence, has enveloped the building. That little piece of mind alone takes what was the aimless dartling around the school looking for a rubber ball and actually turns it into the frantic search for a lost child that it was always meant to be. Also, the suggestion that the other world has a warm breeze actually made my stomach turn a wee bit. Shit's fucking vile. Silent Hill Play Novel did something for me that none of the actual games managed to do. It made the cult and the Lessa's possessive and perception-altering qualities actually inherently psychologically disturbing through it properly putting you in the brains of our two main characters. Like I said, Alessa drew me in, works as a quick explanation of the lore plot, but it doesn't really do much for you emotionally. But hearing it described as being a cold, anxious, lightheaded sensation paired with nausea and headaches while the monologue in question is slowly trotting down a set of rusty stairs made me feel quite uncomfortable. It tripped up my imagination and made me vividly realize how incessantly horrible it must be to have your mind and body be taken over like that. Being aware of what you're doing but powerless to stop it. Ooh. And they always choose the right moments to hit you with this shit as well. Like, after a big boss fight or an epic puzzle, there will always be a wee bit of anxious respite, allowing for some reflection. And I dig that, as it even makes the rather cryptic and scatterbrained sequencing of the original seem a lot more digestible too. I mean, Harry wasn't really the type of daddy one could relate with. He mostly spoke in hasty questions, rarely shared his feels, and everyone else spoke in an equally disjointed and stilted manner, entering and exiting rooms for apparently no reason, leaving behind awkward silences as they go. And yeah, it added to the uncanny campiness, and I get that and I like it, but it created a sense of distance between you and the people in game, and here that distance is gone, as conversations are right in face. All details are expunged upon extensively, and you always know what Harry or Sybil are thinking. Basically, it turns the awkward silences into planned moments of contemplation, and the scatterbrained dialogue, while still fully present, is now accompanied by Harry remarking how annoying this is, saying that despite him being a writer, he has poor social skills and a limited vocabulary. Shit like that just works. And thank fuck we have an audio department to match. I mean, don't get me wrong, the GBA was never known for its sound chip. But the way some composers cleverly got around the stupidly low bit rates and the tinny, noise-ridden speakers has always amazed me. And luckily, Play Novel isn't any different. Like, listen how these little chimes fade away. You can hear the static, the texture, as it were, caused by the compression, which, whether if this was intentional or not, fits the bit-crushed methods of the original soundtrack to a dicking T. Only it's less aggressive. The constant droning noise of the radio freaking its shit is not but an accidental motif fluttering away in this small bell chime. In typical Konami fashion though, the composer's name wasn't ever made public, but the vibe that they went for here overall is quite a bit different than what Akira Yamaoka likely would have done. Rather than opting for crazy audio cue jump scares, industrial noises, and rich ambient layers, for instance, you get some thick, moody orchestral string pads worthy of Samael himself. Anyway, as good as this wee pupper is, some things did get a bit lost in translation, so to say. Both in terms of the actual physical translation, and how in Silent Hill 1 was adapted to this game book thing. First of all though, mad props to the people who translated this, and the dude who reverse engineered it to work on PC. Would have been cool if the window was a bit bigger. In any case, there's a few typos here and there, and the sentence structure is rarely elegant. Writers, these translators were not. But in saying that, the fact that the game's still as psychologically effective as it is says how little of an issue that actually is, thank fuck. More fuck than thank, sadly, are all the elements of the original game that have been lost to the great texaning. That iconic sequence with the camera angles near the start, for instance, is now just a quick fade to black with some derpy GBA music and a oh no, a JPEG, followed by a quick oh, and that's it. That whole vile corpse thing with the suspended barbed wire isn't even mentioned, like, bruh. And of course, they also had to condense the entire experience into a wee 2 hours, so certain epic puzzle segments like the entirety of Nowhere lose any and all impact as they're all but rundowns now. Though, on the quick dick flip, this does work in the game's favor as it allows it to keep a steady pace. The last thing you'd want to do is go the way of the Metal Gear Solid novels, being more or less flavor-texted walkthroughs. This is decidedly not that, as I've hopefully been able to demonstrate thus far, and the few puzzle rundowns that are there are actually quite spicy in the writing department. Like how the piano puzzle's piano seat is said to be warm, as if someone was just there, oh! Or, as if Cheryl was just here, thus making Harry's motivation of finding her a lot more understandable and urgent. It's good. It also cuts down a lot of time by making the long tracks in between areas simple crossfades with some mind boggles, which has its pacing upsides too, though at the same time it does make the town feel relatively tiny. If one were to say play the play novel on its own, you would have no idea where the fuck you are in relation to anything else, which can be good given how much of a centerpiece the town of Silent Hill is in Silent Hill. What's also almost entirely absent, of course, is the action. Though they did have a neat little substitute in the way of these, maybe 5 in total choose-your-own-adventure boss battles. Most of your actual choices occur here, and while they never quite feel Bible Black levels of do I ejaculate on this unconscious girl choices, being able to pick between popping a cap in a bitch's ass or pussyfooting the bush is at least novel, at best. Or should I say, play novel! Overall though, it's pretty good. As I said, it cuts a lot, but it's pretty considering of what to keep and how it can use what it's kept to get into your head good. Oh, and I should probably mention some of the stuff about Sybil's story in particular. Basically, it follows her dicking around town in a similar fashion to Harry. However, unlike Harry, she amasses herself a JRPG party of sorts consisting out of Cheryl and Alessa. Yeah. Also, her Silent Hill works per Silent Hill 2 logic, and so she sees fire and stuff and shit due to her being in a fire once as a kid. Yeah, this story is completely borked and broken. I appreciate the effort for sure, but just simply bringing up the fact that she'd never thought to mention having extensively hung around with Cheryl to Harry already makes it seem rather oddly tacked on. But hey, at least you get to see some original areas and/or CGI renders of areas you hadn't seen before. So that's neat. It almost makes Takayoshi Sato having slept under his fucking desk for like 2 years, making FMVs non-stop without pay because Konami threatened not to credit him kinda less of a horrible fucking thing. Totally.